noises, no footsteps, no one calling your name from another room. Just silence. Not the kind that feels empty, but the kind that feels full in a strange way. Like it's wrapping around everything. I had been looking forward to it all week. Thinking about it during the day. Just waiting for the moment when I'd finally be alone. Everyone was gone, and for once I didn't have to share the space with anyone. No doors opening, no random noises from someone else moving around. Just me. I remember turning off most of the lights on purpose. I didn't rush it either. I went from room to room, switching them off one by one, watching each space fall into darkness. Not all of them, just enough to make the house feel calm. I left the lamp in the living room on and one in the hallway. The rest stayed dark. It felt peaceful that way, you know. Controlled, like I knew exactly what was on and what wasn't. Where the light ended and the dark started. Nothing unexpected, nothing out of place. Just a quiet house, exactly how I wanted it. I made some food, nothing special, just something quick so I wouldn't have to think about it too much. I brought it over to the couch and sat down, getting comfortable like I planned to stay there for a while. The TV was already on, playing something random. I wasn't really watching it, just letting it run in the background so the room wouldn't feel completely silent. My phone was on my hand the whole time. I kept scrolling without really paying attention to anything, just moving my thumb over the screen out of habit. I wasn't even reading half of what was there. It was just something to do, something to fill the time. Hours passed like that, slow, quiet, and comfortable. Nothing really happened, no sudden noises, no interruption, just the TV making loud noise in the background, and my phone lighting up my face every now and then. And everything else staying still. It felt normal, it felt like very easy. At least that's how it started. There's a point when you're alone long enough where the silence changes. It's hard to explain, but you can feel it happen. At first it feels relaxing, like you can finally breathe and think. But after a while it starts to feel different. It doesn't feel as light anymore. It starts to feel, heavy. Like the air in the house isn't moving the same way. Like everything is just sitting there, too still, too quiet. The kind of quiet where you start noticing every little thing, even things you didn't care about before. Like the house is too still, like it's waiting for something. That's around the time I noticed the email. I don't even know why I checked my email in the first place. I hadn't planned to, I think. I just got bored of scrolling the same things on my phone, so I switched apps without really thinking. Just something different to look at. It wasn't in my inbox, it was in my spam, buried between random ads and things I'd never read. The kind of stuff you usually delete without opening. There were a bunch of them, all looking the same, nothing important. But this one felt different right away. The subject line stood out immediately. Do not stay alone tonight. I just stared at it for a second. It didn't look like the others. It was about to scroll past it, like I do with everything else. For a second, I told myself it was probably nothing, just another weird message that ended in a spam for a reason. Almost. But something about it stuck in my head. I couldn't really explain why. Maybe it was the way the words were written. Maybe it was just the timing, you know. The house felt different at that exact moment. Quieter than before. Heavier. Like I noticed earlier. Like everything around me had slowed down without me realizing it. Even the TV background didn't feel the same anymore. I looked back at the subject line again. Do not stay alone tonight. And without really thinking about it too much, I tapped on it and opened the email. Inside there were nothing but a short message. Tonight, you must not be alone in your house. Leave or invite someone over. If you stay alone, something will happen at 2:30 a.m. Do not ignore this. No name, no explanation, no extra lines, no signature, nothing at all to show where it came from or who had sent it. Just those words sitting on the screen like that was all that needed to be said. I stared at it for a long time, longer than I probably should have. The glow on the screen was the only real light in the room now, lighting up my hands and part of my couch. Everything else around me felt darker than before, like the shadows had got deeper without me noticing. I read the message again and then again. Each time it felt a little different. Even though the words didn't change, I kept expecting there to be something else. Like maybe I missed a line or there was more below it. But there wasn't. That was it. Then I laughed quietly to myself. It wasn't even a real life, you know. More like a short breathe, like I was trying to brush it off. It had to be a joke, a scam, something mean to scare people who had too much imagination or nothing better to do. Something random that just ended up in my spam folder. That's what I told myself anyway. Still, I don't close it right away. I just kept looking at it, my eyes going over the same sentence again and again without really thinking. The TV was still on somewhere behind me, but I wasn't paying attention to it anymore. It just sounded like noise now, like it was far away. And then, without really meaning to, I checked the time, 10:30 p.m. I held my phone there for a second, just looking at the numbers. Then I looked back at the message. 2:30 a.m. There were still hours before that. Plenty of time to leave, plenty of time to call someone, to text someone, to not be alone like the message said. I even thought about it for a second, just a quick thought, nothing serious. Like maybe I should just go out for a bit, or ask someone to come over just to be safe, and even if it was just to be safe, even if it was stupid. But then I shook my head a little. It didn't make sense, none of it did. I didn't move. I stayed right where I was, sitting on the couch, phone still in my hand. I didn't leave. I told myself I wasn't going to let a random email control me. The more I thought about it, the more I tried to convince convinced myself it was nothing, just words on a screen. That's all it was supposed to be, you know. So I got up and started checking things, just to prove to myself that everything was fine. I locked the door even though I was pretty sure they were already locked. I went from one to the next, turning the handle, making sure they wouldn't open. Then I checked the windows one by one, pulling on them slightly, making sure they were shut tonight. Everything was exactly how it should be. After that, I went back to the couch like nothing had happened. I sat down, picked up my phone again, and tried to go back to what I was doing before. The TV was still on, still playing something I wasn't watching. But the silence didn't feel the same anymore. It wasn't calm like before. It didn't feel controlled. It felt different in a way I couldn't ignore. No matter how much I tried, like something had shifted without me seeing it happen. By midnight, I couldn't relax. I kept moving even when I didn't need to, adjusting how I was sitting, looking around the room, checking my phone, then putting it down again. Nothing held my attention for long. My mind kept going back to the same thing, the email. By 1:30, I couldn't stop thinking about it. It kept coming back into my head over and over. The words, the time, the way it was written. I tried to tell myself it was stupid, that I wasn't letting it to get it to me for no reason. But it didn't help, you know. Everything felt too quiet again. At 1:47, I picked up my phone again. I didn't even remember deciding to do it. I just reached for it like I already knew what I was going to check. My hands felt a little colder than before, so I opened my email. I went straight to spam. The email was gone. I blinked, thinking maybe I missed it. I scrolled up, then down, slower this time, looking at every subject line. But nothing. I checked my inbox, nothing. I checked the trash, still nothing. Not in spam, not in trash, just, just gone. Like it had never been there at all. That's when something cold settled in my chest. It wasn't a sharp feeling, it was slow, heavy, like it spread out from the center and stayed there. I just stood up without really deciding to. 1 second I was on the couch, the next I was on my feet. The house felt different now. Not empty, worse. It didn't feel like I was alone anymore. It felt like something else was there, even though I couldn't see anything. Like something unseen had filled the space between the walls, just out of the sign. 2:10. I was standing in the hallway staring at the front door. I didn't remember walking there, I must have been, but it didn't feel like I made the choice. I just ended up there, looking at the door like it was the only thing that mattered. I should leave, I thought. The thought came in quickly, but it stayed, stronger than anything else I'd told myself earlier. 2:12. The lights flickered once. It was quick, just a single flicker like a blink. But it was enough to make everything feel unstable, like the house itself wasn't steady anymore. 2:13. The TV in the living room shut off. No sound, no warning, it just went silent. Silence, the kind of silence that feels too big to complete, like it swallowed everything all at once. And then a step behind me, not mine, It was slow, carefully close. I couldn't breathe. My chest tightened like something was pressing down on it, and my body locked in place. I tried to move, but nothing happened. I just stood there, frozen, staring at the door. Another step followed, and another. Each one clear, each one getting closer. Whatever it wasn't trying to hide. It wanted me to hear it. My phone paused on my hand. It felt louder than it should have, sharp, sudden, like it cut through the silence instead of just being a normal notification. I flinched a little without meaning to. I looked down, a new email. My screen lit up, my hand again, that same cold glow from before. For a second, I didn't want to open it. I just stared at the notification, already knowing what it was going to say before I even read it. But still, I tapped it. You were told not to be alone. That was enough. Something in me just broke at that point. Whatever doubt I had left, whatever part of me was trying to stay calm, it was gone. I ran. I didn't think. I didn't stop to look around. I didn't even question it anymore. My body just moved on its own, like it already knew what to do. I turned and rushed to the table, grabbing my keys with shaking hands. They slipped between my fingers, hitting the table for a second before I caught them again. I almost dropped them completely. I didn't slow down. I reached the front door and yanked it open so hard it slammed against the wall behind it. The sound echoed through the house. Cold air hit my face. Real air. It felt different from the air inside. Fresh, open. Like I could finally breathe again, even if it was only a little. I ran to my car, not stopping for anything, and threw myself inside, pulling the door shut as fast as I could. The footsteps stopped instantly. Just gone, like they had been cut off in the middle of moving. No fading, no last sound, just silence again. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get the keys into the ignition. I missed once, then again before finally getting it in. When the engine turned over, the sound felt too loud, but I didn't care. I didn't hesitate. I drove. Fast, too fast. I didn't care about the speed, didn't care about anything around me. I just needed to get away from that house, as far as I could, as quickly as possible. I just knew I couldn't stay there. I called my girlfriend. My hand was still shaking as I held the phone, trying to keep it steady. It rang longer than it should have, each second feeling longer than the last. She answered, confused, her voice slow and tired, half asleep. I tried to explain, but the words didn't come out right. Nothing I said made sense. I couldn't put it together. I just kept saying the same thing. I can't be alone. I can't be alone tonight. Over and over. There was a pause on the other end. A few seconds seconds where she didn't say anything. Then she said, "Come over." Simply, clear. I didn't say anything back, I just kept driving. I don't remember the drive clearly. It's all kind of broken up in my head, empty roads scratching ahead of me, red lights that I barely slowed down for it, if at all. Street lights passing by over and over again, and that feeling like something was just behind me. Not in the car, not where I could see it, just behind me, just out of sight. I kept checking the mirrors without meaning to, quick glances over and over, but there was never anything there. Still, the feeling didn't go away. When I finally got to her place, I didn't even park properly. I just stepped the car, got out, and ran to the door. My hand hit the door harder than I meant to when I knocked. The sound loud in the quiet hallway. She opened it, startled-eyed wide, not fully awake yet. I didn't say anything. I just stepped forward and pulled her into a hug. Tight. For a second she didn't move. Then she hugged me back. And just like that, for the first time that night, the feeling eased. Not completely, but enough. Inside, everything was normal, warm, alive. There were small sounds everywhere, the quiet kind but real. The kind you didn't notice until you've been somewhere completely silent. The sound of her moving, breathing, shifting slightly. It made the fear feel, smaller. Like it didn't feel everything anymore. I told her everything, not all at once. It came out in pieces. I had to stop and think sometimes, go back, repeat things. It didn't sound right when I said it out loud. She listened. She didn't really believe me, I could tell. The way she looked at me, the small pauses before she responded. But she didn't say it directly. She just stayed close. She didn't let me out of her sight, not even for a second. If I moved, she moved too, like she understands something was wrong, even if she didn't understand what. And that was enough. I'm still here now, not alone. Sitting in her place, the lights on, everything around me normal again. But I didn't really relax, not fully. My phone paused a few minutes ago. The sound made my chest tighten again immediately. I didn't want to check it. I just stared at it where it was, like if I ignored it, it wouldn't be real. Like maybe it was something else this time, but I knew. After a few seconds, I backed it up anyway. Slowly, another email. I opened it, just one line. God, it doesn't like witnesses. I stared at that message longer than I should have, reading it again and again. I didn't know what was in that house. I don't know what would happen at 2:30 if I stayed. I don't know what these footsteps really were or how that email knew. But I know one thing for sure. I'm never spending a night alone again. Thank you guys for listening to this story. Do you think that, staying alone in a house could have other things than being just a chilly night? Please like this video and subscribe this channel for other videos. A lot of true stories and horror ones will come in the next days.